Step into the echo chamber where stories breathe, where roles collide with real life and the line between performance and confession vanishes. You're tuned to Secrets Behind the Stars, the place that refuses to separate the craft from the chaos. Today isn't just an update on a shiny new release, it's a tremor rolling toward Netflix, a dark wave called Games of Passion, or Tutku Oyunları in the Whispers of Istanbul. At the center stands Elçin Sangu, haunted by a role that refuses to leave her at the edge of the set, and beside her, as always in the public imagination, is Barış Arduç, the other half of a duo whose chemistry has defined an era. We'll explore the storms swirling around Elçin, the provocative magnetism of Melis Sezen, the fractured soul Ozan Dalyanay is trying to map, and the way this production is rumored to brush up against the private boundaries of a celebrated couple. Before we pull the canvas from this painted nightmare, subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars. If deep dive storytelling is your favorite vice, the join button opens the velvet rope to our inner circle. Your likes are the applause that keep the lights on, and your comments are the unfiltered heartbeat of our stage. Now, step into a house built on denial, desire, and a lie so persistent it feels like gravity. Press tours are usually a careful dance, smiles, compliments, a soft focused narrative. But sometimes an actor cuts through the varnish and tells the audience exactly what it costs to play with fire. That's what happened when Elçin Sangu spoke about Games of Passion. She didn't deliver a neat tagline, she dropped a thesis. In her words, those who betray eventually face a betrayal of their own, a principle, not a punchline. She also revealed how the thought of being deceived stalks her off-screen. The idea of discovering a lie from someone close, whether a best friend or a partner, feels like a switch that once flipped can never be switched back. It was the kind of raw admission that silences a room because it doesn't feel like publicity, it feels like a confession. And when Elçin talks, the world inevitably imagines Barış Arduç on the other side of that confession. Together, they are a cultural shorthand for chemistry you can feel without turning up the volume. Insiders say Barış has been the steady anchor as Elçin wades through the role's murky waters, giving her the quiet space to unravel Funda's pain without letting it swallow their private life. Yet, the same insiders admit the attention is relentless. Every intense scene with Ozan Dalyanay, every manipulative gaze from Melis Sezen, somehow becomes a referendum on the strength of Barış and Elçin as a pair. This is the trap of fame. The set is a workplace, but the headlines insist it's a mirror. For us at Secrets Behind the Stars, Elçin's stance on betrayal is the cipher for understanding Funda, the woman she plays. Funda is a painter, a successful force who turns chaos into beauty, all while her home begins to fracture under the weight of unsaid words. She senses something wrong in the way İlker moves, the way silence grows fatter in the corridors. She doesn't want to name it. She fears naming it gives it power. That's when the character stops being lines on a page and becomes a pressure front seeping into real life. We hear from the set that after filming the discoveries, those scenes where Funda's illusions snap, Elçin has had to step aside and let the emotion pass through her like thunder. That isn't a publicity trick, that's what happens when a part sharpens itself against the actor's own shadows and strikes. Three bodies form the load-bearing structure of this drama. Funda, the artist who creates breathless color as her interior darkens. İlker, portrayed by Ozan Dalyanay, a man who seems composed until you notice the fracture running down his core. And Nazlı, brought to the screen by Melis Sezen, who strolls in under the title of caregiver but really arrives like a storm disguised as mist. Nazlı is nobody's stereotype. She watches the ground where the family stands and finds the cracks. She exploits them not with open seduction but with tiny cuts of truth and need. Melis doesn't play her as a simple siren, she plays her as a set of hungers that never sleep. On the ground, Melis's method is unsettling in the best way. Crew members whisper about the intensity she holds between takes, a charge that makes conversation feel like stepping into a live wire. She reportedly finishes a scene, moves to a shadowed corner, breathes, and lets Nazlı drain away before returning as Melis. The reset essential to doing it again without losing herself. That voltage leaks into the footage. The unease on screen is real because the actors are walking through a valley of knives together. In the middle of this lies İlker, and Ozan Dalyanay is refusing the easy path. He isn't playing a cardboard villain with wandering eyes. He's building a man taught to swallow his words until they rot, a person so starved for understanding that he turns toward the worst possible outlet. When Ilker drifts toward Nasli, it isn't just lust, it's a distorted form of recognition, the poison version of being seen. Director Mert Baikal, known for pushing his cast to the edge of what's safe, is said to have pressed Ozan until the emotional truth arrived bruised and undeniable. And where is Barış Arduç in this swirling gallery? Right where you'd expect him, in the quiet lanes between rumor and reality. There are stories of him stopping by set on days when scenes ran long, a hand on a shoulder, a joke at the right time, a private look that says, "You are more than what this day took from you." There are other stories too, online storms insisting he must feel threatened, that no man can watch his partner sink so deep into the fire without flinching. But those close to the production say the opposite. He is calm, he knows the drill, and he trusts the line between creation and life because they drew it together years ago. Pause a moment with us. Do you buy Elçin's belief that betrayers carve their own downfall, that duplicity eats the person who commits it first? Or is that a nuanced way of offering consolation to the wounded? And what about Melis Sezen? Are you eager to see her inhabit the space of the other woman again, or does repeating that energy risk diminishing her range in the public eye? Tell us how you read loyalty, temptation, and casting in the comments. Secrets Behind the Stars was built for debates like this. Behind the camera, the production is sculpted to amplify psychology. PD Yapim has poured time and money into making the spaces speak. Funda's studio looks imported from a European museum while still smelling like turpentine and fresh linen. Every canvas supposedly echoes a secret she won't say out loud. Nasli's room aims the other way, sparse, hard, almost cold enough to bite, a room that suggests a history of scarcity and a habit of survival. In Ilker's office and in the family living room, the lighting slashes faces in half, as if the show wants you to remember no one is whole here. Look closely and you'll see the frame carrying its own subtext. Naturally, putting Elçin Sangu and Melis Sezen in the same frame has fed the press with enough electricity to power a city. Rumors murmur about competitiveness, about alliances and distance. What does the crew say? They insist what you see on set is not a cozy friendship but a professional chill, courteous, even gracious, but not intimate. Ironically, that helps. Funda and Nasli do not meet as friends, they duel in silence. Keeping the actors slightly apart maintains a static charge the camera happily steals. Now, widen the lens. Games of Passion is steering clear of easy melodrama. It isn't just a story about a marriage slipping, it's a dissection of power and class, of the employer and the person paid to enter the home's softest spaces, of the little violences that never leave bruises, and the obsessions that grow like ivy where we least notice. Netflix plans to shelve it under dark psychological drama, a stamp that signals international ambition. Given the global appetite for Turkish storytelling, viewers in cities far from Istanbul will hear the same music of dread. Whispers say Nasli's past is a locked door we'll be handed keys to, piece by piece, along with the shock of how her history tangles with both Funda and Ilker. Expect the puzzle to assemble itself and then crumble, revealing a new picture underneath. And while all this unfolds, the Barış Elçin dynamic becomes the living counterpoint, a real-life couple balancing art that cuts deep with a private language of trust. Audiences who fell in love with them long ago will watch more than a series, they'll watch how an iconic pair navigates a narrative designed to bruise. Even the release date is a mind game. Netflix is baiting anticipation by keeping the calendar close to the chest. Some insiders predict a stealth drop, others warn that aligning worldwide timelines could slow the roll. Post-production is said to be meticulous, color work tuned to bruise the eye, shadows warm just enough to feel like breath on your neck, a score that doesn't escort you so much as stalk you. This is not content, it's a chamber piece tuned for unease. Make no mistake, for Elçin Sangu, Ozan Dalyanay, and Melis Sezen, this is a crucible. For Barış Arduç and Elçin as a public pair, it's also a test of narrative control. Can they keep the story where it belongs, on the craft, when the plot asks questions many couples avoid? The words Elçin offered about infidelity will echo long after the credits fade. They're not just provocative, they're the show's vow to make us wonder who carries the greater wound in a collapsing marriage, the one who's been lied to, or the one who must wake up every day inside the lie. We'll be waiting in the half-light with you, tracking every trailer, every rumor, every first-look frame. When the premiere date finally slips out, you'll find our breakdown here before the clock hits midnight. If wandering through the darker corners of love and power pulled you in, hit like. It helps us speak a little louder in this crowded theater. Subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and ring the bell so our next deep dive finds you. And if you want to stand with independent analysis that refuses to play nice when the truth is sharp, the join button is open. Until we meet again, remember, in this game, passion keeps score, and survival is the only prize anyone can actually claim.